Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Van Horn at Bridgewater in Virginia. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here. It's good. We were just catching up here for a minute. I saw your roster. So, looking at your schedule this year, I saw two things I didn't like. You beat my alma mater, Catholic University, and then you beat one of my girls who was goalkeeper for Guilford. You're rough. But the one thing that blew my mind is I think you are the only school in America who didn't have a tie last year.
Yeah, surprisingly, I think you looked at us the year before. I think we had five.
I,
So
I mean,
yeah,
I,
the girls mentioned it toward the end of the year. Like, Coach, we didn't have any ties this year because we had five the previous year. So yes, with not having the overtime, ties are definitely occurring way more often now. But yeah, we did not have a tie
that's
this
just,
past year, which was nice.
yeah, no, that's awesome. But a definite anomaly from every record schedule sheet I've seen over the last year. But anyway, well, we're talking here end of February. I've got the in my backyard, ECNL has their spring showcase this weekend. Next weekend, farther down the street, you got the GA event at IMG here in Florida. So, uh, you coming down to visit me in the next 2 weeks, or where do you like to go recruiting this time of year?
Yeah, so unfortunately, no. We're up here. We have a regional tournament up here this weekend that we're going to. We've started our non-traditional practices now, so it's a little bit harder for us to get that far south for multiple days. We were down there for the ECNL event in January. My assistant just got back from the ECNL event in Texas last weekend. We went to Charlotte this past weekend for the GAID thing. So we've definitely been out, but now that we're getting ready to start with our team, we stay a little bit more regionally until we're finished with them about mid-April, and then we start branching back out to get some of the bigger events, just because we have a little bit more time that we can travel to get to them now.
Okay. Well, as a D3 women's program, at this point, are you completely locked and loaded with your class 26? Or you still got a couple you're looking for? Where do you sit with all that?
Yeah, no, 26s, we finished probably first week of June. So we haven't looked at a 26 since the summer. We are in the thick of it with 27s. We probably have offered half of our class. We're trying to bring in nine for the 27th. We probably have about 4 or 5 offers out right now. We're gotten pretty far in the recruiting process that I think will put out a couple more offers here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, right before Jeff Cup, which is a pretty big tournament up here in Virginia. And then we'll see where that goes for a little bit with the girls that we've offered, and then go to the next round of offers and the girls that are in our recruiting board, in hopes that we wrap up again into May, first week of June, something of that nature for the 27th.
So, a question, that always pops up because I help our club with all the college recruiting stuff, and parents and players are always asking, okay, I get an offer, like, do they are they gonna expect me to answer in a week, or do they put timelines on it? Or you just mentioned you're gonna put offers out, so how does that? Do you give them a specific amount of time, or are you just saying, hey, you just got to let us know? But that offer could go away if other people accept. Like, how
Yeah, I
specific
think
does it get?
it's a variation. Right now, the girls that we've offered, there's no timeline, and we haven't offered that position to anybody else. So we're trying not to put any pressure on those girls at this moment. Like, we want them to see other schools, so they've seen what they want to see. So then, if they decide, hey, Bridgewater is where they want to be, they know this is where they want to be, and they didn't have to make, what if I got to see this other school, what have you. As we get further in the recruiting process, particularly after Jeff Cup, because after that, there's not another major tournament in this region. A lot of girls up here will start making decisions after Jeff Cup. So if I have a girl that's, our second choice maybe, and they're saying, hey, I want to make a decision here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll call the girl that we've offered and said, hey, I've got another girl interested in 2 to 3 weeks. If you haven't given me an answer in that 2 to 3 weeks, I may have to offer that same position to that girl, and then it's first come, first serve. But we try to be very open in that communication so they're not being caught off guard. But right now, there's no timeline and there's no pressure. It's their spot. We haven't offered it to anybody else.
That's great. Well, what about IT camps? Do you guys have your own? Do you your staff work others? Are they a part of your recruiting process at all?
Yeah, so we worked others, and we do have our own. Ours is in the summer though. We have ours in either June or July, depending on when the school allows me to have it. We don't do one in the spring just because the weather's pretty unpredictable. I used to do one, and then I'd cancel it some years, and then we try to get it in some years because the weather was okay. So we just moved it to the summer with the recruiting schedule the way it is. These kids are so busy with showcases and ID camps for their clubs. They're also putting those on. It's just harder to get those kids out here. So the summertime when it slows down a little bit, it's a little bit easier to get those kids out here. So we do ours in the summer. We do work other ID camps. We just did a session last night for a club about 2 hours north of us. So we drove up and ran a session for a pool of kids. We did it. They had some '07s, but mostly or '08s. Most of it was '09s and 10s, which is kind of what we're looking at in anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, whether it's an ID camp or a showcase or whatever, what kind of makes up the hierarchy of things you're looking for in a player, both on and off the field?
Well, I think off the field for us, I mean, because we're Division III, we cannot give out athletic scholarships. So the academic piece is pretty important for us, particularly if they're out of state. Like if you're an out of state kid, you've got to have a 3.7 or higher for us to consider you, just so we know financially that this fits what the finances will fit your situation. Because if you're below that, we're probably not going to be able to make the college affordable to what a state school would cost in their home state. So the academic piece is very important. I think the personalities of the kids, like how they interact with their teammates, how they interact with their coaches, how they interact with their parents, or even how their parents interact at a game. Like we're paying attention to all those things on the sideline just because we're trying to recruit the whole player, not just them as a soccer player, if that makes sense. And then I think as a soccer player, I think every coach has some kind of combination of what they're looking for in the sense of their athleticism, their technical ability, their decision making, those types of things. So we have a combination that we look for. The ODAC's pretty athletic, so for us to compete at the top of our conference, we've got to have a certain level of athleticism. But we want to keep possession when we play, so there's also a certain level of technical ability that we have to have. I think one of the things that we look for when we're working with kids is their ability to make decisions in transition moments, right? The transition moments speed up in at the college game, and how fast can kids make a decision from going offense to defense or defense to offense, and that's where we really see the difference in girls. So if we get to work with them, we really try to put them in situations where they have to make decisions in transition moments.
No, I love that. Um, well, we see a big boom in the transfer portal. There's junior college students, there's internationals. Those I would call those the kind of the non-traditional recruiting paths. Do you guys look at those at all, or are you pretty much in the old school, seniors, high schoolers that are coming in for their first experience?
Yeah, we're primarily high school kids. We've had a couple girls reach out to us. I mean, we do look at it. I wouldn't say it's a big part of our recruiting process. I would happy to say in the 18 years I've been here, and I know the transfer portal has only been around probably about, I don't know, 6, 7 years of that. We really haven't dealt with transfer kids. And part of that is I don't want to bring that culture into our culture where if a kid's either isn't happy or something's not working well, I don't want that girl to go, oh, I'm going to transfer to the next school because they transferred here looking for something they didn't have at the previous school. And then that influences the girls that I have here. So girls have reached out to us. If we don't think it's a really good fit, which typically we don't think it's a good fit, we really don't pursue those kids in the transfer portal or even JUCO kids. So we pretty much recruit primarily juniors in their high school year and then bring them through their senior year and then bringing them in as freshmen. That way we have them for 4 years as well.
All right, awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the school. You've been there quite a while now, so you can give us the inside scoop. What are some of the awesome things about Bridgewater? Maybe some things we wouldn't even know by going through the website.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I think almost every recruit tells us when they come for a visit is, we're a small school, but I think they think because we're a small school, campus is also going to be small. And I think they're surprised about how big campus is. We're spread out over 33 acres, a lot of green space on campus. So I think people are surprised about just the size of the schools itself. I think the other thing that a lot of people talk about is how close knit the community is of Bridgewater College. Like you can't walk around campus without everybody saying hi to you or asking you how your day is, this type of thing. So it's a very close knit community, um, not just within the athletic department, just in the community itself on campus. Like everybody knows everybody. Your professors come out to your games, all those type of things. And then the community of Bridgewater itself is also very safe, very supportive of the college. So when our kids are going off campus, they're having a good experience in the local community as well. Just because Bridgewater College is in the central part of Bridgewater, Virginia.
Okay, great. Well, one of the toughest things for student athletes, especially the traditional high school student coming into college, is really balancing the demands of being a collegiate athlete as well as a college student. So, what kind of support systems does the school have to make sure that your players are successful in both avenues?
There's a lot of them. We have those traditional ones where you have a math lab or you have a writing center that's on campus that the students can go and get help for those particular things. But the Bridgewater offers a tutoring service that they can request a tutor at any time for any class. And they can request it for the semester. They can request it for 2 weeks just to help prepare for an exam coming up or something of that nature. So it's pretty flexible. There's no charge to the student athlete at all for that. And it's pretty flexible that they can schedule around their classes, their athletic events and stuff like that. They also have, we have a pretty robust counseling service on campus as well. So we have 2 certified counselors, and then we have about 4 or 5 master level JMU students that are trying to get their master's in counseling. So that we have a partnership with JMU. So they send those students over that need certain hours to being supervised by our 2 counselors. So if they need some kind of counseling service on campus, I think we provide a pretty good service for the campus for that, the community campus. Probably the one thing that we could probably do a little bit better at, we do have a nutritionist on campus, and the nutrition is there for students that had challenges with their diet in the sense they have a lot of allergies or something like that. So they're there to help make sure that the dining hall is providing adequate food options for them and stuff like that. That's not really open to the student athletes. The student athletes make up about 46% of the population, and there's only one nutrition dietitian on campus. So they don't have time to meet with, you know, 650, 700 student athletes on a daily basis. So that part, like if we have a kid that's really struggling, we can get them in with that person, but that person's not meeting with them on a regular basis.
No, it's still a good service to have for sure. Um, well, let's rewind back to October. You're in the heart of that ODAC conference schedule. Walk me through what's a typical week look like? Like what's the game cadence, when are practices, meals, classes, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so typical week looks like Sunday. We'll start off with Sunday is their day off, so we're not contacting the girls. We want them to get away from soccer. A lot of times they're focusing on their studies and that type of thing. Monday they would weight train sometime on Monday. That could vary. It varies depending on class schedules each semester, but they're going to lift on Monday. We're going to train Monday from 4 to 6, and that's basically it for Monday. Tuesday they're going to have individual film with me from the Saturday's game, and then we would train from 4 to 6 on Tuesday. That training session is probably more of a moderate training session. Monday was probably a hard coming off a day of rest. And then Wednesday is a game day. So if we're traveling, now that we're in conference, we're probably leaving around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If it's a home game, we're probably getting out of class around 2 o'clock for 4 o'clock kickoff. So they're in the locker room, probably around 2:10. We meet with them right around 3 o'clock in our media room. We go over our last scouting report, go over all their roles and responsibilities one last time. And then we walk out to the field and warm up around 3:15. And then obviously play the game at 4. We release them after the game at 6. A lot of our parents do come up for these games. So a lot of the girls will go out to dinner with their parents and stuff like that. Thursday, they weight train again on Thursday. They'll do individual film on Thursday from Wednesday's game, and then we practice 4 to 6. And again, that's probably more of a moderate practice. Friday we have team film at 3, and then we have a light team practice Friday from like 4 to about 5:30. So we cut it about 30 minutes shorter than usual. And then Saturday's either going to be a home game or away game. And that varies depending on when we leave. Sometimes we have to leave like 7, 8, 9 in the morning, depending if we're playing at 1 or 2 o'clock. If it's night game at 7, we're probably leaving sometime after lunch.
Okay. Well, let's talk more about the team. I know we talked about recruiting, but in terms of your roster, is there a roster size that you're trying to hit each year you find is ideal?
Yeah, so we don't exceed 29. That might be a little rare. I know at Division 3 they use a lot of Division 3 teams as try to bring in 35, 40 kids because trying to fill beds at the college. We don't exceed 29 for a couple of reasons. One, we have a great locker room. We only have 29 lockers. So I'm really conscious about the girls having a good experience, and I don't want girls sharing lockers in the locker room because that diminishes their experience, right? So we try not to exceed 29. I think from a player standpoint, when you're talking about practice and games, it's hard to get a lot of meaningful reps in practice if you start exceeding over 29 players. And then same thing with games. Like, we probably average about 16, 18 players. You start getting into the 30s and 40s, there's not enough minutes for a lot of those girls to get in. So then it goes back to what type of experience are they having in their college experience. So we're very conscious of that and trying to make sure that we have the number that we need to be competitive and successful, and we're not trying to exceed that just to have numbers around.
Okay. Well, besides players on the rosters, there's staff. So talk to me about your staff. Who do you have there? What roles do everybody play? What kind of support staff maybe in the athletic department help out with the team?
Yeah, so I have a full-time assistant, Tommy Haney. He just joined us this past summer, so he's in his first year. He's been a huge help this year. He came from Division 3 men's from Texas, so came out of the region, but he's been excellent. So he's really helped us a lot. I have my volunteer assistant, Hap. He's been with me. I think he just finished his 16th year, so he's been here almost as long as I have. He's more of our comic relief. The girls love him. He doesn't do a whole lot of coaching. He's probably more there for, to make sure the girls are having a good time. He balances me out quite a bit because I can walk onto the field and flip a flip a switch and go, okay, let's get after it in business. So he evens me out a little bit. The girls love. He's older. He's close to retirement, so he's kind of like the grandpa for the girls and stuff like that on the field. He jokes around with them, that kind of thing. We have 5 certified athletic trainers here, so we have our own athletic trainer that's at all of our practices and then at all of our home games, and he or she will travel with us for certain away games, but not all of them. But the girls really get to trust that person. That's the only athletic trainer they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So that trainer gets to know them very well. We also are lucky here that we have 2 full-time strength conditioning coaches for Division 3. There's not a lot of institutions that have that. So we have our own strength conditioning coach that runs all of our weightlifting in season, and then out of season, they run all of our weightlifting and conditioning. And it's the same strength conditioning coach every time they meet with him. So it's not tag team. He's assigned to us. He knows the players really well as well. We meet with him probably once a week in season and out of season just to keep an eye on what's going on, what he's doing, what's he seeing, is it matching what we're seeing on the field, that type of thing. So that's been really helpful. And then outside of that, we have 3 SIDs. So I think we're also that's probably higher than most Division 3s. Most probably have 1, maybe 2, but we have 3. So we have 1 assigned to us. So we have a point person. He came in this year. It was his first year as well. He's done a really good job with the graphics and the videos that we can put out on social media. Our girls love them. But it's definitely helped a lot with the things that we're putting out on our social media right now with him. So that's been a huge help as well. And then after that, it's our administration that you typically have at most institutions and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, what about you? Talk to us about your coaching style and the style of play you want to play there.
Oh, well, I've been here 18 years, so that has evolved over that time. I feel like the first 4 or 5 years I was kind of fumbling through it until I started to figure out exactly how I wanted to play and how I wanted the team to perform. So we're very much a possession team, but very much an attacking flair added to that. So um, sometimes we got to break the habit. We get a lot of girls from the club system, and they think possession is like 99% of the wall. And it's like, yes, we want to keep possession, but at the end of the day, if it's 0-0 and we won 70% of the possession, we still tied the game. So we've got to teach them that possession is important, but we've also got to recognize those moments or take risk in the attacking half that we can create opportunities to score goals. So, like, we try to be dynamic. We really try to create a 3v2 or 2v1 or even a 1v1 in the flank, and we attack down the flank, try to get the ball in the box, and then try to get numbers in the box. So we are in a 4-3-3, possession oriented, but when we see an opportunity to get numbers up or go forward, we go forward. We're not trying to go negative as much.
All right. Well, we are in the off season. You just started talking about how you're getting ready for your non-traditional practices to start. So what does your off season look like?
Yeah, so we were going to start last week, but because of the winter storm that we had 3 weeks ago, our field's been too saturated with the amount of snow that's been melting. So today's going to be the first day we get out. So we're going to get out today. We're going to do a little bit of fitness, and then we're going to just let the girls play and kind of see where they're at. They've been playing futsal since they got back from Christmas. So just kind of see where their touches are, where they're at fitness wise. They're going to go on spring break here tomorrow. So they'll be gone all next week. Most of them are coming down to see you. Either a couple places in Florida, they're going down there for spring break. They get back on the 9th, I believe, of March, and then we will train 4 times a week for almost 6 weeks, Monday through Thursday. So same thing. So they'll lift twice a week. We're going to train 4 to 6. We do 2 days a week that we do team practices, and then the other 2 days a week we do functional training. So 24 days of practice without having games. The girls, their eyes glass over after 2 or 3 weeks. So just to try to change it for them, give them something to look forward to, something different. Typically Mondays and Wednesdays will be team practices where everybody's out there together. Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's a long day for me and Tommy, but we bring them out by position. So usually there's about 6 to 7 girls per position with the two of us, and we go about an hour with each position. So we're out there for 4, they're out there for an hour. So they like it because it's shorter, but we're also working on something that translates to their position within the bigger system of play. So we really found that it really helps the girls close the gap on some of the things that they're deficient in that we saw from the fall.
Oh, like that a lot. All right. Well, Coach, really appreciate the time. Gonna leave you with one last question, and that is, if you had one piece of advice for a girl going through this college recruiting process, what would that be?
Ooh, there's so much that you could tell a girl, but something I told the girls last night that I worked with, um, they need to be diligent in getting their college visits in a timely manner. And the reason why I say that, we have girls that will visit an institution in January and February, and that institution may be moving quicker because they're getting kids on their visit and make an offer. And if that kid hasn't done enough visits, it's going to be harder for them to go, yeah, this is where I want to be, because they don't know. They don't have anything to compare it from, right? So particularly the spring of their sophomore or their junior year, they need to be pretty diligent about, okay, here are the schools I've identified. Can I get these visits in a timely manner? So when it comes time to start making decisions or colleges start making offers, they can go, okay, I can compare these 4 or 5 institutions. Here's the best fit for me. And then they know this is where they should be versus, oh, I still got to see 2 more. And then that that offer may not be there when they're done with their other visits because they took so long. So just being diligent about trying to get those visits in so they can know, yeah, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Coach, really appreciate it, and hopefully you will get down here to Bradenton another time for some recruiting, and we'll hang out then. All right?
All right. So yeah, we'll be down there next January for sure. We don't miss it.
Sounds good. All right. Take care.
All right. Thanks.